Hey, hard forkers, welcome back. The Bitcoin price is going absolutely crazy at the moment. We're days away from the halving. So we've put an expert panel together for you. We've got Alejandro. He's from a mining pool called Poolin. They produce 18% of all Bitcoin. So what better person to have on to talk about the halving, what's likely to happen in the mining space. Obviously, there's some good price discussion in there as well. We're also joined by two absolute Bitcoin OGs. These guys have been in the space since 2010, on their first Bitcoin back then. There's Dunstan and Leslie from the Bitcoin Club here in Singapore. He's the president, and a face familiar to many of you that watch this channel, Didi from the Bitcoin family. They're all giving us their thoughts on the current price action, the future of Bitcoin, what the mining industry is all about, and a great explanation of the halving and how that's likely to affect things. So look, please enjoy the show, watch it right through to the end for some great price discussion. And I just want to let you all know about this new card that we have here. The team have all got one. It's the Embly card. It makes using, spending your crypto incredibly easy. Check it out. There's a link below to that, and enjoy the show. Give us your thoughts. Thanks. Okay, welcome along, everyone. We've got a panel of heavyweights today, and the purpose of this is to teach you all about mining, what the halving is. So, guys, I thought what we'd do is just, maybe 2 minutes about how you've come into the space and specifically mining. So, Didi, probably the most familiar person to the audience, if you could maybe kick that off.
Mining, guys. I started mining in 2013. I still had this huge company. I had 20 employees running around, and I get this internship from this guy from a school, and he's like, Didi, can I work at your school, at your company for 6 months and do this, whatever he needed to do for his school? I said, yeah, of course, why not? Come in. And I said, what do you want to do? I want to talk to you about Bitcoin and mining. That was the first time I heard about Bitcoin. And he was like very convincing. He was this guy, this young guy, and Bitcoin is going to change the world. It's a revolution. And you can be a millionaire out of it, Didi, if you start mining. And I was like, okay, you're hired. You can set up the mining rigs for your subject on school. And let's see what it is. And he started to educate me a little bit. I started to read up a little bit at that point. And then I invested in the first mining rigs. So we started to build them ourselves, with motherboards and graphical cards. And at the end, we had about 50 of these rigs in our office. So I cleaned out one of the offices and I put full of the mining rigs, and I got 70 degrees of heat in there, and the temperature was not controllable anymore, and we were losing graphical cards, and I needed to find a solution. So I went to this weed growing guy. He grew a lot of weed in my town. And I told the guy, how are you handling all this heat? Man, I have these mining rigs. I get this room so warm. How do I handle the heat? And he said, you just buy this box, and it's you hook it up and you blow out, you suck out the heat of the room. Okay, so let's try it. So I went to the grow shop, bought this kit, hooked it up in my room, and it started sucking out the heat into the rest of my office, which was free heating, of course. That's how we solved it. So for me, it was really trial and error. In 2013, 14, we had a crash. I got afraid. I'm like, wow, shit, I'm losing all my investment. What to do? Do I stop mining? So I started selling some mining rigs, and then started mining Dogecoins, of course. So I'm a Dogecoin millionaire. And that was the beginning of my mining story. And of course, that evolved to buying some more professional mining rigs. And at the end, you went to cloud mining and all that stuff. Yeah, you know what it is. And then now I'm just not mining physically myself anymore, just hodling, trading, and living the full all-in crypto life with my wife and 3 kids, and still, doing keynotes, speaking all over the world, writing books, making videos every day, just supporting crypto 20%.
Excellent. And listen, there's a link to Didi's videos below. I'm starting my day every day, completely jealous watching him walk along a paradise beach in Koh Phangan, teaching us all about Bitcoin. So look, if you're locked up indoors like the rest of us are, I'm sure you'll enjoy those videos, so definitely check them out. Leslie, we'll come to you next. I believe you're the president of the Bitcoin Club here in Singapore, and I suspect you and Dunstan might have started mining together. If you guys could tell us a bit about that.
So my name is Leslie. I'm from Singapore Bitcoin Club. So I'm the president for over there. It's been about since 2015 that I started. So I'm considered a late bloomer basically, right? So yeah. But I was first introduced to Bitcoin by Dunstan back in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I guess that's the part that Dunstan has to share more, and we'll dive in and share a little bit more in terms of what went wrong with my life back in 2010, right? So, Dunstan, you want to take over?
Okay, cool. Yeah, hi, I'm Dunstan. I'm the chief architect of FIDO protocol. So what happened? I started mining 2010. Well, I didn't know that I was mining. I was using a computer game like Donkey Kong, like computer game, and it was like mining bitcoins. And I didn't know what to do with them until some gamers told me that I could actually use them to change virtual goods. Some of the gamers are actually using that to buy and sell stuff other than ego. So when that happened, I was playing some games with Leslie and the rest of my friends. I was telling them, hey, maybe you would like to try mining. Yeah, all of them told me, nope, let's carry on with our games.
Yeah, it wasn't nope. It wasn't nope. So here's the story, guys, right? So it wasn't nope because we were so intense in battle, online playing games. This dude comes to us and, free and easy, and it's like, I'm already over at the enemy side. You guys are like too slow, right? So, and he goes like, hey guys, you want to mine Bitcoin? It's like, dude, what Bitcoin? Just don't talk about Bitcoin. Just play the game and focus on the game, right? So yeah, now on hindsight, every time when I meet him, I always tell him, I say that, why don't you shove it down my throat back then and say that, hey, come and mine Bitcoin. We have been like Didi to say like a Dogecoin millionaire, right? So yeah, so but
tens of millions of dollars flying around in those games back in 2010, eh?
Yeah. So anyway, for Singapore Bitcoin Club, we educate the public since 2016 actually, to be honest. Yeah, started back then, teaching the likes of retail and even to corporate as well, like DBS as well. So
excellent.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool. So we'll links to that below for you all as well. Last but not least, when people ask me where does Bitcoin come from, I say it comes from Alejandro. He makes it. about 18% of it at the moment is my understanding. So Alejandro, please tell us your story.
Sure, thanks, Sean. Well, I started in crypto in 2013. I got into Bitcoin because I thought, this is a great financial instrument that's going to help, human society and humanity as a whole. I felt very strongly about that, so I jumped in and never looked back. I was mining as well early 2014. I remember having my living room full of GPU cards. The whole setup was in my living room. It was just a farm in my living room, basically. But I kind of decided against becoming. The GPUs would break down. It was a lot of work, so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna just do some business in crypto instead of mining. So I started a startup, analytics startup, with a couple of friends in Holland, in Amsterdam, which then got acquired by Bitmain. The company was called Blocktrail. So yeah, we got acquired by Bitmain. We joined Bitmain team, and then we started BTC.com in Bitmain. So I'm co-founder of BTC.com, which turned out to be, which we built from just us 6 original co-founders to, about 100, 150 people, to be the largest mining pool for 2 years in a row. I left BTC.com about a year ago, took some time off that I thought was well-deserved. And then I joined Poolin. Poolin is now as a mining pool as well. It's actually founded by the same team that founded BTC.com. So we've done it before, and we're back at #1 already. So after a year of starting Bitcoin mining, we grew from nothing to #1. We beat BTC.com, which was a bittersweet moment. But I felt good, very good. And yeah, the team is I'm based in Berlin now. We have a small team here. We have another team, and then we have the headquarters in China, Beijing. We have a few offices around China. So yeah, that's it.
Excellent. So clearly we've got a panel of people that know the space, understand mining. Who would like to maybe give a description of exactly what the halving is to sort of the non-technical people watching this, and really what that, maybe Alejandro, I'll throw that to you, and if you could also talk about what the impact on the mining industry is, given the halving. What are the implications here for that industry?
Sure, it's a good question. I've been getting that question quite a lot lately.
I'm sure.
So basically, it's Bitcoin is a computer system, and it follows set rules that was created by Satoshi Nakamoto. One of these rules is that around every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin that is rewarded to miners is halved, and we're just coming up upon that in 5 days, actually. What that means, what do I mean by rewards? Well, basically mining, miners maintain the network and maintain the security of the network. For them doing that, the Bitcoin network rewards them with Bitcoin, right? And that's also the way that the liquidity or the Bitcoin is created and enters the market. So yeah, so that's gonna effectively be halved. And the implications of that are going to be felt for sure by the mining industry. But the good thing about the halving actually is that it's known. Everyone knows it's going to happen. So a lot of the mining operators have been working for about a year, I'd say now, maybe even longer. In anticipation of this event, have been buying new equipment, have been sourcing even cheaper electricity, have been finding other financial, ways to finance their operations or lend money in case there's something happens. So most mining operations are prepared. Us as a mining pool, what is a mining pool? Mining pool basically is a aggregate of miners, which then increases the chance of these miners that are in the pool to find the reward. So the more hash power you have, the more hash power, which is the miners, computer power, the more chance you have in finding the reward. So us as a pool, we're also ready. We think it's not going to be a problem. We might see a momentary drop in or decrease of hash rate in the whole entire Bitcoin network, because a lot of the older mining machines will no longer be profitable. The S9s, basically, which were the ones that powered the Bitcoin network for the last 4 years, they probably will no longer be profitable unless they have like next to free electricity costs, which is very hard to find. So we are going to see a lot of these miners shut off, which will decrease the hash rate momentarily, because you need to remember that there's a lot of new mining equipment coming online. The new powerful, badass mining machines that are 20, 30 times more efficient than S9s are coming online. They're being sent out by all the big manufacturers in China. So these will slowly continue to be turned on, and will then increase the hash rate of Bitcoin, increasing the security. But as a normal user, you don't have to worry about this halving at all. You can send Bitcoin. You can be sure that the system works as exactly how it should.
Alejandro, just on that point there, I mean, obviously Leslie and Dunstan sort of touched on the fact that they were mining Bitcoin back in their gaming days in 2010, and your last comment there, we've got a scenario where these big tech companies are creating miners that are far more efficient, etc. Could you give us a few comments, and if I can throw this open to you guys as well, just jump in any time, and let's get a bit of a discussion going around that. What is the industry now? Is this a real sort of race of technology to come up with the latest and greatest miner to sort of dominate this aspect of the industry? How is this all shaping up? Feel free.
Well, sure. In terms of the short answer is yes. The mining equipment, the stronger your mining equipment is, the more Bitcoin you will make, basically. So a lot of these manufacturers are working around the clock to create the best and strongest machines. There's a lot of big manufacturers based out of China that are doing this. It is a race to the mining game is basically a race to get the best equipment and turn it on as soon as possible to start creating Bitcoin, because you need to pay the bills, you need to pay your initial, down payment for these miners. So yeah, it is a race to create the best and biggest. However, we've already sort of gotten to the limit of what's physically possible in terms of the chip designs. We're now getting to 5 nanometers, which is really crazy. And people say that it might be 3 nanometers, but we're getting onto the edge of what is physically possible. I think the next step might be maybe a little bit longer down the line, but the next step might be quantum computing and stuff like that. So it's getting to the edges of limits of chip design. But there's a whole entire logistical and supply chain and economies of scale around mining, right? You have to create the chip in chip foundries. You have to source the materials. So it is definitely a big industry, and it's getting more professional by the year.
Is it like, because you refer to it, or we all refer to it as this competition or whatever you call it, but the more that cryptocurrency will succeed in our lives, the more it will disrupt the normal monetary system, the more important and the more powerful that miners will become. And we can see that we still have like 60% of the mining hash rate coming from China. And I read this beautiful article like this week that Bitmain was delivering a lot of equipment to Europe and the UK that had more than 30% failure. Is this a game? Do you think there's a strategy to stay the biggest miner country in China, and so just like strategically deliver equipment to the UK and to Europe and to the US that is like less profitable in mining, so that they always keep ahead? Is this something you see as well in this market?
Interesting. I never thought of it like that. I worked at Bitmain, right? And at the end of the day, a lot of the, I think it boils down to, I don't think they did it on purpose. I don't think they would try to, do it on purpose. I don't think they would do that.
To be clear, I love what Bitmain is doing, because they simplifying the mining process and just make it possible by doing this that normal people mine as well. So I love it. But I just saw this news article and was like, wow, this is not a coincidence. Bitcoin is getting more and more valuable, more and more power, more and more countries believe in it, and even see it as an official asset. So it used to be.
Well, look, the reason why China is creating all the mining machines is because they have all the factories there. They have all a lot of people say we should move these factories to Europe, or where I'm based in Germany or something. But no one realizes that these factories are heavy pollutants, right? They smoke. The smoke will come out 24/7. No one wants that in their backyard. In China, there's a bunch of those things. There's the whole entire manufacturing. It's the manufacturing country of the world, right? It's where everything is made, and that's the reason why manufacturing has been so strong there for the mining rigs. I think it's a very, very sad thing to see that these S17s were faulty, which is the mining equipment's name, S17. It's a pity. It really is a pity, because a lot of these mining farm operators were betting to get these machines just before the halving, to get the last remnants of the last blocks with 12.5 Bitcoin to pay off the bills. And now they get those new equipment and they're faulty, or 10 to 20 to 30, even I've heard 30%, but I think it's more around 10 to 20%. It sucks. But there is a lot of other manufacturers, right? There's MicroBT, which actually is kind of similar to Poolin in the sense that they were also part of Bitmain, and they also left Bitmain and started their own competing company like Poolin. So that's a similarity to us. Their miners are doing pretty well. So in essence, that's the reality. I don't think they did it on purpose.
Alejandro, who could you tell us a bit about the industry? Who is playing this game? I mean, obviously, we're talking about China here. It's got a massive advantage with electricity costs. I think they're coming into their wet season now as well, which I heard you speak the other day, saying that'll only benefit them even more. How does that landscape work? I mean, to me, I don't have a particularly great knowledge about who the people are competing. So if you could maybe just talk a bit about who are the miners, who is playing this game?
Okay, that's a good question. I think in China, there's a lot of established big mining operations that have been going on for years. There's always new entrants, but there's already a pretty big and strong, established mining operators that have been doing this for years now. They have connections straight to the manufacturers, right? They're in the same country. They're the same, Chinese. They're all Chinese, right? So it works out. Now, outside of China, it's actually more interesting. Back in the day, Didi said, and I said earlier that we used to have miners in our living rooms or whatever it is. But the West has actually gotten much more professional in the last 2 years, but mostly last year. It's become big mining farm or big mining operators that are well versed in data centers, in finance. They have a team that is dedicated to one part of the mining operation. Like I know I've been to mining farms in Iceland where their data engineers their engineers engineered a warehouse for the mining equipment that was specifically for that mining equipment according to how much heat they produce, and they created this whole entire whatever it is. I'm not an engineer, but it's
like an airflow
airflow system that was just state of the art. They had a team of 6 engineers working on just airflow that comes from these machines, right? So the West is really getting professional in the sense of mining farms. There's a lot. What's very interesting nowadays is that there's a lot of interest from traditional finance, actually, family offices and whatnot, to invest actually in mining farm operations through financial derivatives. And I think that is actually very exciting and interesting. A lot of people say, that the financial, industry is coming into Bitcoin. I think that they are, but they're coming in through mining, which is really interesting. Because if you have a hash rate derivative contract that's for 1 year, and you always have a daily payout in Bitcoin. You can pay up front, which helps finance the operation. They understand, the traditional finance industry understands that if you turn on, they understand this is a machine, you turn it on, it creates this amount of profit per day. They can understand that. I guess, but the whole Bitcoin Lightning Network, that's a little bit too far from them. But they understand a machine that makes money, that you can put it in this, cheap electricity. So it's actually, I think it's going to be the way or the path that the traditional finance is coming into crypto, which is extremely exciting. It's gonna, if that's the case, and this is happening mostly in European and countries and in the United States, Canada, where the equity markets are advanced, and there's a whole entire financial infrastructure for these type of things to occur. I think if once it starts happening, what that means is that there's going to be many more mining farms in the West. And there will be highly advanced operations with skilled professionals behind them. And what that's going to do is going to create some sort of, down the line, it's not going to be next year. It's going to take a couple of years, but it's going to happen. What that's going to do is that's going to level the playing field a bit, because having all the mining farms in just one region, be it China, be it whatever it is, doesn't matter. But having it all in one place at one time is never, in case, let's say there's an earthquake or whatever it is, it's never a good thing. So it's good to have a level playing field in terms of mining, and that's what I see the industry is going right now. So it's great.
So I got one more question, then I'll throw it over to you guys to maybe ask Alejandro anything you'd like to talk about. What's the scenario for the miners? Obviously they're losing half their income when the halving takes place. Is the entire model sort of always been built around a fee market where that would then sort of come into to compensate for that? Could you just explain that to to us a wee bit?
Well, yeah, okay. So that's a good question. A very good question. So it really boils down to so what happens is that if there's a lot of transactions in the network, the fees shoot up because there's only a limited amount of the fee market to get into that block, and the fees increase because more people want to get in. So mostly all the major pools, including Poolin, Poolin.com, we pay the fees, the transactional fees that have occurred in the last block, we give to our miners as well. In effect, our miners are making more money than some other pools that don't do that. Some pools don't do this payment scheme. But the idea, the theory is that down the line, when the reward has halved again and halved again, the fees will pay for the whole entire mining network or mining ecosystem. They will pay, the fees will be so high and there will be so many fees that it will sustain the network. So it's let's see. I hope that happens. We still don't know, but that's the theory.
Okay, excellent. Look, I've asked enough questions. Maybe I'll throw it over to you guys. Have each got a question. Leslie, do you want to? You got anything you'd like to bring up?
I've got more questions for Alejandro, man. I actually want to ask him, in terms of the hardware, when you mentioned S9s, S17s, right? I mean, back then, I kind of got involved in those cloud computing stuff. Basically, it was just quite a big scam, basically. But it's interesting that you mentioned that, you're actually giving your transaction fees as part of your rewards, basically. And that was never available back then when we were in 2015, when we were exploring this. And you guys probably went through their previous halving as well as I did.
Yeah.
And so you see the potential. What's in it for Poolin at this point of time in the next 4 years in terms of the hardware, to increase as the difficulty rates grows? Will your customers be having the same kind of rewards, or it's going to evolve along the way?
What do you mean? Do you mean by evolve? You mean it's going to increase the amount of fees that will come in?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's we hope so, right? I mean, no one really knows, right? But there's so much investment going on in this system, in this network, in the ecosystem of Bitcoin, other cryptos as well, but mainly Bitcoin. We hope to see an increase in fees down the line. Sure. I mean, it really depends. It really also depends on the whole entire ecosystem. This is a question about the whole entire ecosystem, not mainly about mining. There is some challenges. We have some challenges. We're still 11 years old as an industry, right? We're like a little baby still. We need to fix a few things, like UI UX needs to improve. There's a whole list of things that we can improve. But I think we'll get there. I mean, Bitcoin is the first and freedom financial currency that the world has ever seen. The system behind it is impressive. I can tell you from firsthand. I've seen some mining farms that are just you can't see the end of the warehouse. It's just full of these equipments that are securing the network and verifying transactions. So this whole a lot of people need to think about that. That people say, "Oh, Bitcoin's going to fail." Bitcoin's not going to fail. Bitcoin is not going to fail. There's so much. All these infrastructure. This whole entire infrastructure across the globe is impressive, and they won't go away anytime soon. And people are just continuing to create more farms, more instruments around mining. This is not going to dissipate anytime soon.
Right.
Dunstan, you've been sitting there very, very quietly. You got a question?
Not really a question. It's more of an idea of centralization or decentralization of the mining farms and so on. My current thoughts are if the operations start getting more and more expensive, and the rewards start dropping. Technically, this is one of the economic rules in Bitcoin that actually helps to reduce centralization of mining pools in a sense, because the first hit of the cost would be the larger mining pools actually. So which is why Alejandro was going through, like looking through financing and so on, right, and getting prepared for the halving. And this is something that I like about the Bitcoin space, because no matter how big the players are, there's always a competition going on, and there's always a pull to decentralization no matter what. The whole Bitcoin network does like to tend towards decentralization, because the largest mining pools takes the largest risk. If anything happens, they will be the first one to get the fall actually, and not the smaller ones. And once something happens, the smaller mining parties or partners, or even like just normal people, will start mining again. So this is the idea of to make sure that the whole ecosystem is consistently in dynamics.
Agreed. Good. Well said. Well said.
Okay.
I
Didi.
have one more question. I'm a dreamer.
So am I. So am I.
Everyone's a dreamer.
So my dream is to completely decentralize every aspect of mining, crypto, Bitcoin, spending, and all of that. So my dream still is that in the future, the technology will bring us to a level that we will be able to mine and secure the network with mobile phones, which would be, of course, true decentralization of everything, because then everybody with a mobile phone will be mining and would be the biggest mining pool, in my opinion. Do you think this will be ever technically possible to become the biggest mining pool by using equipment like very advanced mobile phones in the future? Or are you going to crash my dream?
In Bitcoin, no. So no, it's not going to happen. The reason why it won't happen, the reason is because these human ingenuity is the reason. Some guys decided, yeah, look, this Bitcoin is cool. Let's put it onto GPUs so we can make more. Then the other guy came and said, let's put it on FPGAs. And then the other guy said, let's put it on ASICs. So like it's been they've been just improving the way. It's just the way the way we work as humans, right? We try to improve and make things more efficient, and that's what's happening in crypto. So, but this whole decentralization, mining pools. Okay, look, Poolin is a Chinese company. They have office in Berlin, right? So the first international office that we're looking to expand globally. But people tend to forget that, okay, mining pool is a company, and yeah, sure, they have HQ in China, office in Berlin, whatever. But all the mining farms are all over the world, right? It doesn't matter. It's not like these mining farms are inside Poolin HQ or something like that. They're scattered across the globe. And another thing is that these ASICs, they tend to get cheaper down the line, and we're getting to the limit, as I said earlier, to chip design limits in terms of size. So we expect, and I expect, that the price of these machines will sort of hit a kind of limit. It won't be getting too expensive, because the improvement from one generation to the next will be much lesser, right? Because we're getting to the limit of things. So this will create a cheaper ASIC down the line, which will help decentralization. A lot of people say GPUs, but if you look at the price of 4 GPUs in one rig, it's much more than one mining machine. So it's still decentralized. It's still very much a decentralized system. But the way Bitcoin, technically speaking, the way Bitcoin works, there's no way we're going to see mining on phones. Sorry, Didi.
So, yeah, you could. No, of course, I understand the technology behind it, and I just want to ask you, because I get this question daily.
Yeah, sure.
On the other hand, I think it could be a really cool savior for the banks if they just convert all their ATM machines into mining equipment. Maybe make a chance in the future, man. They would survive.
Didi, that's the dream, man, Didi.
They would survive, and maybe they would make up all their losses, because in Europe they lost like 60% of their market cap at the moment. So maybe they now should start to understand Bitcoin, convert ATMs into mining rigs and exchange machines at the same time, and they will be very helpful candidates to support the Bitcoin and crypto world, isn't so?
You can start an ICO for this, man.
Yeah, but there's no
no.
way they need to
STO.
survive actually.
Or they just print. They just print. Printing is cheaper.
So, well, look, speaking of printing, just one last topic, guys. I know you're all busy, but obviously most people are wanting to talk price, so we've got to do it. Obviously, the halving is it highlights the fact that Bitcoin is a scarce asset. Where we've now got a scenario where we've got money being printed hand over fist. I think, being a Bitcoin, for me, it's been an education in economics. The big thing I really want people to understand is that with Bitcoin, we do have this finite supply. Guys, could you maybe just comment on that and really drive that point home to people, about what Bitcoin really is, and the fact that the halving really does highlight this fact and what is going on at the moment with all this money that is being printed out there. Fortunately, it appears like some of that money is actually going into Bitcoin, but what's the key thing you think people need to understand with regards to the halving, with the scarcity of Bitcoin and this money printing we see at the moment, and the price implications moving forward? Leslie, do you want to go from top to there?
So I'll use a very old ancient way of Chinese way of saying, right? The old ginger knows the best, and Dunstan's been my mentor, so to speak, for the last few years, and he told me never to spend Bitcoin, right? So I didn't listen back then in 2015 and got scared. When you first dabble into it, you don't really have that assurance, right? Not understanding it well, and that's why I'm into education. So here's the thing that I want to bring across. Two things I want to bring across. A student of mine told me, after explaining to him about the whole Bitcoin, how the mechanisms, the economic model works behind. He said this. He said, so there will only be 21 million Bitcoins in the world, regardless of when, at which time. I said, yes. And his eyes were blown. He was like, wow. So, and to him, I emphasize the value of Bitcoin, not through a fiat value. It's actually the quantity of Bitcoin. And this brings me to my second point, right? And so I always share this experience from a personal standpoint of view, because I didn't listen to Dunstan back then. I said, in 2015, I had 10 Bitcoins. And how much was 10 Bitcoins back then? It was $350 basically per Bitcoin. Today's date, 10 Bitcoins is how much? And I always ask myself, on hindsight, where did that 10 Bitcoin go? Right? So this is the thing. With the halving that's going to happen, like it or not, the traders in my community are already speculating in terms of the price, because of the halving is going to happen, and some of them don't have full understanding of the fundamentals. It really doesn't matter, because from the market source and what they're looking at, there's a very diverse view. Half of the parties that I know on the traders are just sitting on the sidelines, right? So they're just hodlers, like what Didi mentioned, right? Just holding on. And the other one is just waiting for the opportunity to actually come in at a lower price, which they are predicting based on past, historical charts, that it's going to drop after the halving. So, again, don't quote me on this, right? So we wouldn't know what's the price of Bitcoin going to be. But with the economic aspect of Bitcoin, and what Alejandro has mentioned earlier, it's just human nature, right? As long as something that's scarce, the price and the demand will just keep going up. It's like after the halving, if you want to get one Bitcoin, it's just going to be much tougher, because it's half of the time. Half the amount that you want to get, basically. It's just going to be really tough. It's not just fiat value. It's the miners themselves can't produce that much in the first place, right? So it's a double whammy, basically. You don't think you could have a position like, I have $10,000 and I just want to buy one Bitcoin at this point of time, and I want to wait after the halving because it's going to halve in price, right? That's not going to happen. In my opinion, it's not going to happen, right? 10,000 not going to buy you 2 Bitcoins. It's just probably going to buy you 0.5 Bitcoins. So don't get it wrong, guys. That's my opinion. I mean, I hope I've been trained well, Dunstan. In this
Dunstan,
aspect,
anything to add?
Well, technically, what I'm looking at this halving is I'm pretty cynical right now regarding the blockchain space and regarding the players that are inside. We have exchanges, we have projects, we have new coins coming up, and so on. And all these actually do affect the prices of Bitcoin in one way or another, because the retail people are getting affected. Regulators are coming in. There are people getting scammed left, right, up, down. My assumption for this halving is actually that I suspect the exchanges are gonna play around with the prices. I don't believe the mining pools will be involved with that because they need to handle their operations anyway. So yeah, but the main players in this halving, because now exchanges are extremely powerful in the blockchain, in the Bitcoin ecosystem, they might be the ones that are doing manipulation at a large scale for the halving. So if they look at the retail market, and most of them are looking to short the prices, they're gonna push the prices up, and vice versa actually. So this is my viewpoint on what's going on, and Didi definitely agrees.
All right. A bit of drama from Dunstan. We love it. Didi, what have you got to add?
Didi, you got to unmute yourself. You're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I cannot add much to this. I think the deflationary aspect of Bitcoin has been driving the price up continuously. You know, every time that the supply of something like Bitcoin is decreasing, the price must be increasing. You know, it will save the miners because they don't have to mine as much as Bitcoin as before because of the halving. Now they can mine a little bit less Bitcoin. They still have the same revenue. You know, at the same time, they have been investing, of course, to get better equipment in China, but not the rest of the world. And then, you know, they will be able to make still the same revenue with the current cost they have. Because I think Dustin said it really good. They are huge companies. They have fixed costs every month. They need to make revenue because else they go bankrupt. So they cannot let Bitcoin go very sharply down, because then they would kill a lot of mining companies, and they would a lot of people would lose jobs. And, you know, we already see, because of this whole flu thing, that 30% of America is losing their jobs. So we cannot add all the mining businesses to this. So for me, I think this, if you look at the technical indicators, we are seeing this beautiful build up. Again, we have seen the last two halvings. We have seen the MACD crossing. We have seen Bitcoin price above the 50 weekly moving, 100, 200 weekly moving. We have the PSAR indicator giving a sign again that we are going up. And we see so much positive news, and we see the most new wallets being created with 0.1 Bitcoin, which makes you really happy. We've seen an all-time high in 1,000+ Bitcoins wallets as well. So I cannot be more bullish. You know, of course, we can see a pullback, but for me, the halving, decreasing supply of Bitcoin and new Bitcoin to the market, increasing the price. And I think at the end, we all will be very happy in December 2020.
Well, that's the interesting thing about it, right? Earlier in terms of my comments. So you get two different views now. Dunstan saying one thing, you know, on the exchange side, and then Didi saying that it's on a bullish side, right? So I'm getting that on the ground as well, in terms of the people around me giving me mixed comments as well. Some of them just want to wait because, you know, they have a feeling that, you know, what Dunstan has mentioned. So I think this halving is quite special in that aspect, and, you know, not per se because of the stakeholders in the ecosystem itself, because previously you don't get these financial institutions or the exchanges coming to have such big influence over the price of Bitcoin. But then again, Didi, you mentioned that, you know, that there are people who are still very positive on Bitcoin and believe in Bitcoin, and I think that's the one that's probably going to push the price against and for any sort of manipulation, so quote unquote, right? So
and
that's interesting.
And let's be honest, if those institutional investors and all the official parties go into Bitcoin, go into mining, go into blockchain, they are not doing this to make losses. They have been playing this money game like 500 years. They know how to play this game. So if these institutional investors, the banks, the governments, if they start to accept Bitcoin and, you know, entry the Bitcoin market, they are not doing it to make loss. They are doing it to make so much profit that they can cover up all the losses they have been making in the last decade by all the lending crashes they have been creating. So I think for them, even Bitcoin is a solution to make profit and to solve the problems they've created in the last decade. But let's see what happens. You know, maybe I'm just this long-haired dude on a Copenhagen beach enjoying Bacardi Cola.
Yeah, we'll finish up with you, Alejandro, but I'll throw my 2 cents worth in, which is basically, look, I've been saying it took me a while to wrap my head around it, but it is that fact that there is a finite supply. The 4 guys you're looking at here have already got a little bit of this stuff. Plenty of other people coming into the space. You know, not financial advice, obviously I'm not allowed to do that, but I think it's a fantastic idea to have some Bitcoin. I'd strongly encourage people to learn about the space. There's links below to all these guys, different websites and YouTube channels, etc. Check them all out. Alejandro, do you want to give us some closing comments on what your thoughts are around this?
Yeah, sure. So Bitcoin ultimately is a deflationary currency. What we have in fiat is inflationary currencies, which in essence, you lose value over time because there's more of it coming in. Bitcoin has a set amount of Bitcoin coming in. So the idea is that it's a deflationary currency, which retains its value or gains in value over time. So also it is people who are looking to get into Bitcoin for the first time should look at what it means, not necessarily like try to get in to make a buck, but look at the real underlying message of Bitcoin is that it's a deflationary, it's a currency. It is not stoppable by any third party. It's not controlled by anyone. You can send money across the globe whenever you want, for whoever you want, do whatever you want. This has never been the case. There's never been in our society something that allows us to do these things, and these things bring power to us, the people, and not to the people who control the historical financial rails or the what we have today, like those banks and whatnot. So it represents a very important aspect in terms of freedom for us and for our society. So I think that is something that you should definitely read into, do some research behind if you want to get into Bitcoin. That's what it represents. Not necessarily, how much euro or dollar you can make in 2 months. That's fine, nothing wrong with that. But the fundamentals of Bitcoin is what keeps me, it keeps everyone else still doing this. So these guys here too, I'm sure.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. And I think all 5 of us strongly agree with that. Didi?
Definitely.
I just want to add something because it's perfectly said, man. I would have expected it out of my own mouth. The only thing, I would want to add to it is indeed, guys, and for everybody that is listening, you have seen now what governments can do to us. They can take your freedom in a split of a second. They have also showed us in the 2009, 2014 that they can take your finance, they can push a button, they can freeze your money, and they can limit your ADM withdrawals with 260 euros a month, a week. And this is exactly what Bitcoin will prohibit them, It's going to replace the physical cash you're now used to. This physical cash is slowly disappearing. In Holland, you cannot pay at the moment everywhere anymore with cash because of COVID. It's only 8% of the world's cash total that is cash, like physical cash. This is going to go to 0. And then people will understand the true power and the fundamentals of Bitcoin, because then there is need for this peer-to-peer cash that nobody can stop, that nobody can even confiscate or whatever. So beautiful said how you did it. Thank you for this beautiful words, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and listen, guys, thank you, everyone. It's been a great group of guys here today. I've certainly learned a bit more. There's links below this video. Everyone watching, check out Poolin. Check out Didi walking on the beach every morning, teaching us all a bit more about Bitcoin. Dunstan's got a couple of great projects I think you should look at. And Leslie, I look forward to meeting you while I'm in Singapore. The the president of the Bitcoin Club. You got something to add?
Yeah, I do have to comment one thing. If you're new to learning Bitcoin, never forget your private key, okay? So don't forget your private key. That's the most essential number one thing that nobody can help you with, okay? I've got too many questions coming back to me and say, hey, can you help me recover my Bitcoin? There's no way we can do that without having your access to your private key, okay? So guys, keep a lookout on learning how to get your wallets on your private key. The exchanges don't hold it for you, all right? You have to have it on your own wallet, all right? So don't contribute to the lost Bitcoins anymore. There's too many already, basically, right? It's as scarce as it is, so don't contribute to the lost Bitcoins. Yeah, thank you.
Very true. All right, guys. Thank you once again for your time. I've really enjoyed it.
Guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.